Welcome to Making MarTech, where we spotlight innovative MarTech companies and leaders who are driving growth, highlighting valuable insights and actionable strategies to stay ahead in this industry. Today, we're joined by John Aufray, CEO of Growth Hackers. How'd you get into creating Growth Hackers?
So the thing is, when I was traveling and working, I was always working with small businesses. Then when I came to Taiwan, first I was working also at a small business in Taiwan, like the same experience that I had in Spain in the time, so same kind of industry. And then I joined a startup in Taiwan. And the difference between small business and startup is kind of startup is growth focused, where you want like pretty much leads, users, revenue. And so I kind of moved from, I would say, classic marketing to growth hacking. And so we were in the Taiwanese startups, and then we got funded in the UK. So we moved to the UK for like a few months. And when I was working in the incubator in Taiwan and then the accelerator in the UK, what I found is startups are great at tech. Like the founders are great at making a product, but they don't know how to sell it. So they can have the best product in the world, but they don't know how to actually acquire users. And so not only I was working on my startup, but I had to work at this accelerator incubator as kind of like an external consultant, just to help all the startups in their batch. And the thing is, when you work at a startup, you have two full-time jobs already, I would say. And then on top of it, I was working at like an external consultant. So that kind of gave me another full-time job. So my schedule was just completely insane. So at the time, I decided with one of my coworkers to leave our startup and to create Growth Hackers. And the idea was to help start more than one or two startups pretty much. And at the real beginning, the first idea was to help Taiwanese startups to grow globally, but that we pivoted almost right away after 3 months or whatever, because the Taiwanese startup ecosystem is not like, I don't know, Silicon Valley or London or Berlin or Paris or whatever. It's super small. So I knew pretty much every founders or every entrepreneurs in Taiwan, maybe not all, but like close to. So I was like, there's no way to scale by doing this. So we kind of pivoted almost right away. And now the past 8+ years, we help advanced startups who already have like a product pretty much, not just an idea, and or small and medium-sized businesses from the West to grow. When I say the West, it's 3 regions. So it's North America, it's Western Europe, and it's Dubai. I always call Dubai the West because the way they do business, it's not the Middle East, it's really the West.
And Growth Hackers has achieved some awesome milestones. You guys drove over 110 million in sales.
Yeah, actually, I would say much more now, because the website we should update it. I think it's pretty more than 200 million. It's for different kind of like startup. That was more for medium-sized businesses, because the thing is, any startups, what they want is they want users, not necessarily paid users. They want users so they can get more funding, and then they can pay for more users, but they don't focus that much on revenue.
Interesting. And with all that success, can you bring us to the present? What are some of the most significant successes that you've had recently?
We worked with a fitness influencer lately, and we started to work with him, and he's selling like a fitness program every 3 months pretty much. And the first month we worked with him, we made like $50,000 in sales. And because it's online coaching, it's 95% profit. So that was quite a success. Lately also in the past 2-3 months, we work with a new prop trading firm, and they focus more on like the Web3 crypto side. So that many firms in this industry are, I wouldn't say it's scamming, but are a bit like dodgy, and they wanted to change this kind of mindset or this kind of like scammy kind of behaviors. So they launch with us, and like in the first like, I would say 2 to 3 weeks, we could make like 100K in revenue. So they were also really happy.
That's awesome, man. So for you, what have been one of the biggest challenges that you've been facing recently?
It's really hard, honestly. It's really hard. So it's like almost like one was not enough customers, one was too many. So it's kind of like that was the two challenges. It's almost the opposite. One, you try to get more leads, and one you try to get more people. So that's what's kind of the two changes.
And yeah, it can be really hard, right? It's a lot of time, it's a lot of resources that go into that.
Yeah.
So from that, what'd you learn?
The thing is, from 2017 to 2024 or end of 2023, maybe, always had all of the leads that come to us, they are all inbound because we've got good social media presence, we've got good SEO. So we always had a flow of leads, so we never missed any. And the thing with the rise of AI, Google kept changing their algorithm, the social media kept changing their algorithm. Then there was like a flow of millions of pieces of content pretty much everywhere. But ours was not performing as well. And so that's where we were missing leads. And so what we learned from this is kind of like we can't focus on one way to generate leads or two ways to generate leads. We need to have like a kind of constant flow that even if one or two channels for any kind of reason doesn't work anymore, we need to have a backup or like a spare wheel or something. The second learning about hiring fast when you grow fast, it's actually a consultant I worked with a couple of months ago who told me you should have like a bench. And he gave me the analogy of like American football or European football or whatever. You know, you've got like the starting players, you've got a bench of people who can come in at any given time. If someone is injured, someone is tired, whatever can happen. So if you start to go fast and for example, you need to hire, I don't know, 2 graphic designers, 2 SEO guys, 2 data analysts, whatever. If you already interview candidates before and you know that of those 3 guys or, will be a good fit. Once you have too much demand, you can just talk to them and say, "Oh, now is the time for you to join us." I would say the second learning is having a bench that you can use at any given time.
And I think that's actually a pretty good shift because I know you mentioned the whole advent of AI. And we all know AI is the big buzzword right now. It's hitting everything hard. So, what are your thoughts on the AI shift and how is growth hackers adapting to these challenges?
The first lesson of marketing I've ever had, my teacher told me, everything I'm going to teach you in the next 2 to 3 years, none of it will be still available, will still make sense when you start your career. And he told me like marketing keeps evolving. When you work in marketing, what makes it challenging is like you need to stay on up to the latest trends all the time. But what's interesting is you never get bored. And when AI came in, that's exactly what happened. Business in general change all the time, or just the speed is a bit faster than before. Maybe before the marketing was changing every 5 years. Now it changed every 3 months. It's a bit harder to follow. But what's good is I had this mindset of anyway, anything that I do now in 2 years, I will have to kind of renew the strategy. So how we stay on trend is we test so many tools, but we also stick to some. Test a lot of tools, see what works for you, but then stick to the most useful tools. And anyway, those are good. And even if you find a feature on another tool that might be a little bit better, probably that tool is going to improve anyway. So don't keep pivoting or keep changing tools. Stick to, 3, 5, 10 tools, whatever you want to use, but test, see what's working for you and then stick to them and don't make massive changes all the time.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Is like a lot of people sometimes make that mistake where they think AI is just another tool, right? And it's like, it's not, because what you have to think about is if I'm integrating AI into one of my processes, I need to have a process designed around that AI, right? It's not like a tool where I can have it here and have it here and have it here, and maybe I'll switch this out next month, right? Because then you have to deal with the whole problem of fragmentation, right?
There's so many entrepreneurs that are like, oh yeah, I want to integrate AI or I want to automate my process or whatever, but they don't have a process yet. Their first idea is like, oh, let's put AI, but they don't have something working. So it's kind of like you're just going to waste time integrating something on something that is not working. So it's better like always do something that on scale first. Then once you have a process that works, then you can automate. But like a lot of entrepreneurs are like, I want to automate first. I want to use AI first. But if you don't know what's working, you're just going to waste like 6 weeks integrating an automation or AI on something that doesn't work. So you're just going to waste time. So always start with defining what's working or test a few things out. You can do things very manually, even if it's very time consuming. Then you find something, then you're like, okay, let's see how AI can replace me pretty much.
And I think that's a pretty good way to go about it, right? And that's what we do as well is we'll go and we'll tell our clients like, okay, first what we're going to do is we're going to take an end-to-end audit of your processes, right? Like that's the first thing we're going to do. You want AI, this is what we're going to do. First, we're going to look at your process and we're going to say, okay, so here it is from this end to this end. And now here we have a gap, here we have a gap, right? What is your biggest bottleneck? And then we'll find how AI can solve that problem. Right?
Exactly.
But if you don't have a process, there's nothing for AI to do. And I think a lot of it's because you constantly hear you have to integrate AI, you have to integrate AI, you have to integrate it. But you have to also realize like it's not just about integrating AI fast. It's also about integrating it right. And that's I think the challenge right now is like you have to do it right and you also have to do it fast. So how are you going to do that?
Same like lately in SEO, for example, now like some gurus or some influencers in SEO, they say, oh, SEO is dead. Now it's called, I think it's like AEO or whatever they call it. So it's like AI SEO pretty much.
I think partly one of the reasons why people are managing to get it so big is like all the AI hype, right? People think that the LLMs are about to like take over the world, and that's not true, right? Have you seen that diagram that they did a comparison of the market share between ChatGPT and Google? And you'll see that ChatGPT has a really small percent.
Yeah, ChatGPT is still, no, Google is still like 85%. So it was 92, went to 85, but it's definitely decreasing. Still, people who say like Google is going to die, they seem quite strong in my opinion. They have like 50,000 of the best engineers in the world. I think they will figure it out.
Exactly. And that's the thing, right? Is like, how do you tell the difference between what's hype and what's not? And it's interesting because AI is just so big and the impact it's having is so big that it really just does become hard to differentiate between the two, right? For example, the former CEO of Cisco, he was responsible for going and growing the company to 50 billion in annual recurring revenue. And basically what he said about AI is he says AI is about to be like the next internet, but 3 times the impact that it had. You have all this going on with AI. So with that, what's been your biggest challenge when it comes to adapting to AI?
I would say the biggest challenge was the pace and the competition. The pace because it keeps changing, so you have to change, but not pivoting every week, you know. So it's kind of like but you still have to learn super fast. And I will say the competition because until ChatGPT, we were really good and we were quite advanced in many of the techniques that we were using. But with AI, many other agencies could catch up with us. So it's kind of like the competition become much more fierce. So we have to find ways, whether it's with our strategy. So that's why we keep testing new one, whether it's with the messaging, whether it's with other things. We don't want to be one among 10. We want to be in the two first among 10. And so our mindset is when someone contacts us, you have this mindset that they probably contacted 9 other agencies, so 10 in total. So our goal is we want to be in the finalist every time. So we want to be in the top 2 every time. Sometimes they will pick us, sometimes they will pick some others. So what we do is we do much more for free than pretty much all the agencies out there. We try to give as much value from start to see how competent we are and what we can do for them. So this way, if we are always in the top 2 or top 3 from the top 10, then we don't have 10% chance that they work with us, we have 50% chance. So that's kind of the mindset is give as much as possible at the beginning to kind of remove the competition from the start.
So with all that competition and kind of the fact that it's so hard to differentiate, right? What's been your biggest challenge to scaling?
To scaling, so there's a few challenges because I was saying last year, like last year was bad for us. The problem with scaling is it goes with two things, but at the end of the day, it's connected to one is people because you need to have the right people in your team which is very hard to get them. It's very hard to pick them even at the beginning, because if you want to hire an engineer, if you interview two engineers, the one who's going to be very confident, etc., most of the time is not the best engineer, because the best engineers are usually introverts. And sometimes when you hire, let's say, a marketer or a salesperson, a marketer knows, or a salesperson knows how to sell themselves or market themselves. So the only way to find if they are really good is to test them out. So our way to do it is usually when we hire, we don't hire one person, we hire at least two for the same position. And then after a month, you can see that, okay, this guy or this woman like is answering fast, is doing their job, and one is like missing every meeting, or always have an excuse with like, I have an errand, I got COVID again. And it's kind of like you kind of find quickly. And the other thing about scaling is not acquiring more customers all the time, because that's actually super time consuming, is retaining the clients that you have. And that's why I was saying about people are so important, because if I sign 5 customers this month, but the same month we lose 5 customers, I mean, we stagnate completely. It's useless, you know? So it's really important to keep your customers for as long as possible, 1, 2, 3 years, what it is. And then that's how you scale. And how to keep the customers, especially in the service industry, but it works also in the product industry. It's, of course, they bring good services. I mean, that's a given, but it's also building a relationship with the people, and building relationship is with people. That's one of the skills that AI will have a very hard time to replicate. So it's kind of like building relationship and building trust is also really important. So to scale, it's all about the people. So hiring the right people, making sure that they deliver good services, they build a relationship with the customer. And you also want to keep those same people, because some companies that really don't care about their employees. So they have this very toxic culture where we use the people, we take as much of their energy as possible. And when they quit, great, we're going to hire someone. I think it's really one strategy, because hiring is so hard. I think you want to make sure that the mental health of the people you work with is good. So what it means is like, do they like what they are doing? Are they happy with what they're doing? Do they have like personal problem in their personal life that somehow you can help them out, whatever it is so you want? So it's all about people.
A lot of the time people forget that. They're so focused on just getting the next thing that they forget about what they have. And it's like, when you think about it, retention is probably the best growth strategy there is.
Yeah, by far.
And I think that's a great place to leave off. You know, this was an absolute masterclass. Okay.
Great. Awesome. It was a great conversation.
Yeah, it was really. There is one last question I have for you.
Sure.
Same question I ask every single person that comes onto the podcast. What's the most overrated piece of advice you've encountered recently?
Since the beginning of the year, we have been hiring quite a bit because it's going well. And people told me that, no, you shouldn't hire. You just find ways to replace those new people, to replace your existing people with AI. And I think that's wrong, especially in the service industry, because I was saying you need the people for some task or for some low level task, yes, but don't replace all your people with AI. Because at some point you need people to work with other people.
AI isn't meant to replace humans. It's there to supercharge them.
Yeah, totally.
That's a great note to leave off on. So thank you, John. That was awesome.
Well, thank you, Himnish. Great conversation. It was really fun.
Of course, yeah. Thanks for coming on. As we end today's episode of Making MarTech, I'd like to thank all our listeners. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to share this and subscribe to our show so you don't miss the next one. I'm your host, Himnish Jindal, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.